The first session is all about the introductory part of computer organization and architecture. We will understand what is architecture, what is organization, why do we need this subject. All this will be clearly understood, and I hope you have seen this example in the previous semester and in my other lectures. So I am going to have a very basic understanding right now with a simple C code. We can take a C code. Let's write a C code for adding two numbers, for example. How will you write the code? You will write int a, int b, add a comma b, and the result has to be moved to c. C equal to add a comma b, and that's it, a plus b, and you will print the result, and that's it. It's a simple C code that you can write. But when you execute the code, when you compile the code, it is not what is happening there. It is not a very simple execution. There are a lot of sequences of steps that are coming in. Remember, there are a lot of sequences of steps coming in. First step is you are writing the code. The code is nothing but C equal to A plus B. That's all. That's the core line. Internally, that has to be converted as an instruction set architecture, which means it has to be converted to appropriate instruction. What do you mean by that? I need C equal to A plus B, which means I need to load A, I need to load B, I need to pull the corresponding add instruction, I need to store the result into C. That's called instruction. So we have C equal to A plus B as a very small operation, but when you go into instruction set architecture, there are so many things that are to be done, and we need to load, we need to add, we need to store the result again. That's the first step. Whatever code you are writing, the corresponding, remember, the corresponding processors instructions only will be called. Sir, I have an Intel Core i7 processor. What will happen? The same processor's instruction set will be called for performing that operation. Sir, I have i5, sir. What will happen? i5's processor instruction set will be called. Similarly, for each processor, there will be set of instruction sets that are available, and that would be called for any mathematical, logical, arithmetic operation that you do. Though you write a C program or a C++ program or a Java program, internally it is all about calling the instruction, and the instructions are all governed by a term called as instruction set architecture. Remember, it is called instruction set architecture. That's the first step. Now, what is the next step? Sir, you told me that I am going to load register A, load register B, and I'm going to add A plus B, and result is going to go to C. But who does it all? It is all to be done with the architecture, which means the components that are required. I need an ALU, I need registers for the operation, and all these are the next level. The architecture for doing that operation, for accomplishing that operation, is to be used, and that's the next step. I need to pull that from the board. Sir, what do you mean by pulling from the board, sir? Every processor, you take Intel i7 processor, it has got a processor inside and it has got ALU inside. The ALU has got multiple components inside, like adder, subtractor, multiplier, everything is there, right? So I need to now pull out the corresponding operation here. Here it is an adder, so I have to pull out the adder, and I need to take the registers. Registers are nothing but the smallest components that are available inside the processor for memory storage. That's it. Now, what is the first step? I had the code. What is the second step? I use the relevant instruction for the code. What is the third step? I pull the components inside, which is nothing but the architecture. The electronic components at this level will be pulled. Now, finally, what is the next step to go ahead with? The next step is to, sir, how do you build an ALU, sir? Very simple. We build an ALU by using gates. We have got lot of gates which are being used. An adder can be built through gates. A subtractor can be built through gates. All these are done through typical gates. And the way the gates are all assembled together, and they do a function as ALU collectively, and whichever you need, you will pull out and you will call it. That's it. This is the fourth step. And finally, how do you build gates? The gates cannot be built directly, right? So what do we need? We need the transistors. The transistor level thought process is very important for an electronics engineer, and the transistor level understanding is very important for a computer engineer. This entire flow is what computer architecture and organization is all about. Whatever code you have got goes to the extent of transistor and even lower. So how do you make the transistor? We make the transistor through silica, and the silica is all about physics and chemistry then. So we need that much knowledge. So the computer architecture and organization is all about giving a small piece of code and going to the next level deeper, where instruction set will be called. And when you go further deeper, the corresponding logical elements will be called. And you go further deeper, the fundamental logic gates will be called. and then it goes to the transistor level, and finally you come to the level of how do we make the transistor. This is the entire flow that is involved, and in this subject what we are going to learn is how this particular factorial code gets converted to this, and how this is called will be more importantly analyzed. We will talk about what are all the ways that we can pull out the components from the available processor to accomplish a task. Is it clear, all of you? I am going to take a simple C code. I'll pull out the corresponding instruction set. I'll build the architecture. I'll build the logic. I'll then make it a lower level architecture. Then finally, I'll go to the last level. Now let's start from the last to top. What do? We are going to first make the transistors. How do you make it? I need silica for it, sand for it. I'll make the transistors by using physics and chemistry. And then I'll combine the transistors together with some logic to make it a logic gate, say AND or not. And then I'll combine these gates together to build the ALU and other adder, subtractor and all. And then I'll use the instruction set to access this. Now what did you do? You used instruction set to access the hardware at the lowest level. The architecture for this instructions is called instruction set architecture. I hope it is very clear, and if anybody has a query, let me know. I'll answer that. Now we are getting into the core part of it. What is computer architecture and what is organization? We need to explain it very clearly, and listen to me carefully. And as usual, I'm telling you, if at all you have a query, please stop me and ask a question. I'm more than happy to answer the questions. Right. Architecture is always about what to do. I tell you again, the architecture is always about what to do. Organization is always about how to do. When you want to do something, you need to think about what to do. When you implement something, you need to think about how to do. Right? Architecture is concerned with the design, and the organization is concerned with the implementation. I am going to design something is called as architecture, but I am going to build something is called as organization. Design is imaginary. I will imagine what are all the contents that are available there. So you can architect yourself. Okay. But implementation is going to be the final building process where we will implement whatever you have imagined. Architecture will carry out the analysis, and it will tell you what kind of instructions should be there, what kind of addressing modes can be there. For a simple instance, I can architect a new board, new processor, saying that there will be 10 addressing modes supported in this processor. But implementing the 10 addressing modes through proper instructions is called organization. Very simple. Architecture talks about what are all the things that can be there. Organization talks about how are those things can be implemented. And remember, there can be a question, which carries the highest precedence, architecture or organization? Architecture carries the highest precedence over the organization. Remember, it is to be compared. The architecture is to be compared with high-level design, where you can just get a problem statement saying, write a code for factorial. Now, how are you going to write the code for factorial? That's called organization. Very simple. Giving you the problem statement is architecture. You implementing it in terms of code is organization. That's the way you can connect it. I'll give you a very simple example which you can follow it further. Let's design a calculator. The task is to design a calculator which is going to support the addition operation. Let's take a complex operation, multiplication operation, for example. I have told you that as an architect, I told you that you need to design a calculator which is going to support multiplication operation. This is architecture. But organization, what I do, I need to tell you how are you going to implement that multiplication. The multiplication can be implemented with a simple mult instruction, or you can say that no, I am not going to support multiplication operation through instruction. Instead, I will force the user to go with repeated addition. I'll force the user to go with repeated addition to implement the multiplication. The first one of telling you to use the multiplication operation is called the architectural decision. But how do you do it? Either you are going to have an instruction called as mult, or you are going to have repeated addition is called as organization. Similarly, for division, I can tell you, I am telling you that I am going to do division operation. I will support division in my processor. But how am I going to do that? Are you going to do it directly as div AB, just like what we have seen in 8051? Or are we going to go with 8085 model where I cannot divide directly and I need to go with repeated subtraction? That is the major difference. The fundamental difference is architecture will tell you what to do, organization will tell you how to do. Now there is a table that I have constructed clearly, and this table presents you the differences between the architecture and organization. The left hand side, as you can see, this is the architecture, and the right hand side, as you can see, is the organization. Architecture is all about high level design and the feature description. I am going to describe what are all the features supported for the processor. Remember, if I say that this processor has got this many facilities, I call it architecture. You are having a home, I mean, you are building a house, you are saying that I got 5 rooms and 4 that kitchen, 1 kitchen, terrace is there, 2 visitors rooms are there. If you say this, you are telling the features of the house, and that's called architecture. But how did you implement it? Then you need to tell that I have got 2 bedrooms which are 300 square feet each, and I got marble flooring, and I spent around this many lakhs to build it. There is a visitor room which is built with a normal flooring. This kind of detailed information, as in how did you implement it, comes as organization. That's it. Now, the computer architecture is always connected to instruction set, the support for the data types, and memory consideration. What do you mean by that, sir? Very simple. The computer architecture only will tell you what kind of instructions are you going to use, how many instructions should be there, which type of data will you support, what kind of memory do you need to use, how much memory will be used. All these will be predicted and should be given as a note to you as a requirement in computer architecture. But how do you implement all these? Sir, I have an instruction, sir. Can I go ahead with that pattern or this pattern? That's going to be called organization. Sir, memory you told you, but which memory can I store it with? That comes with organization. Logic will be given more importance when you come to architecture, and implementation will be given deepest importance when it comes to organization. What to do is the question, how to do is the question. That's the simplest way you can remember. I already have given you the example for the multiplication. Where I decide to include multiplication is called architecture. How to do multiplication is called organization. That's the easiest way you can understand. Now, I have taken a simple example where we can conclude it with this topic. For this particular topic, we can conclude it with this example. Now, I am going to take a very simple example where I give you an architecture input for building adder. I am going to add 2 numbers and I am going to store result. For an architect, for a computer architecture perspective, this would be the input. I'll tell that I will give you 2 8-bit inputs and you need to add them and store the result. That's all. This is the architecture input. But when I have to go with implementation as an implementer, as an organization guy, what will I do? I need to say that I will use register R1, which is 8 bits wide. I will use register R2, which is 8 bits wide. I have got a data bus which carries the data from R1, which I have another data bus which carries the data from R2. It gets into the adder. The adder will start functioning only when there is a control signal being fed in. And once the result is ready, I'll put the sum into a register called R1. I'll put the carry into the register called R2, and this is the way we are going to visualize how this can be done. The planning is called architecture, the visualizing and the implementing is called organization. That's it. It's very simple. Have you understood all this till now, whatever I have conveyed? Any questions, guys? Till now, I want a reply, so please uh, uh, be interactive. Any questions till now? Pavitra? Any other questions? Till now, is it all clear? Roll number 53, is he there? Roll number 53. What is right? We'll get into the next topic. Well, what is instruction set architecture? We have been talking about this term in the previous 20 minutes, and now we need to understand what is it very clearly. Very simple. I'll tell you this way. This is a mediator. This instruction set architecture is the mediator which is going to help you in accessing the hardware. Sir, which hardware, sir? I am using an instruction called add a comma b. For let me go to C programming again. C equal to a plus b is the instruction that I am using, and C equal to a plus b is high level language. And for me to access the adder, I need to access the adder C equal to a plus b. That accessing is enabled. That adder is a hardware I am talking about. C equal to a plus b is that plus is the hardware that I am going to use. A is the register that I am going to use. B is another register that I am going to use. So what I am having here is a simple instruction, and that instruction should pull the hardware from the board. The board I am talking about here is the processor. I have the processor. Inside processor, I have got everything. For you to access the content inside the processor, you need some mediator. It is like you getting the food from the kitchen. There should be some mediator to help you in picking the food. Probably there could be a server, or your parents can help you in picking up the food, or there is a way that you need to go into the kitchen and somebody serves you the food hot. That somebody who is serving the food hot is the mediator who helps you in accessing the food. That's it. The instruction set is a mediator or an interface that helps the software, the higher level software, which means your C or C++ or Java or whatever, that higher level software to access the hardware. I'm going to access the hardware through the instruction set architecture, and the software can gain control to the hardware only through the ISA. Remember, whichever hardware you are using, whichever software platform you are using, without having instruction set architecture in picture, you cannot access the hardware. The instruction set architecture is the mediator. It is going to be the instructor. It is going to be the helper for the software to access the hardware. That's it. Or we can say that the instruction set architecture will help in utilizing the hardware to the fullest ability. Sir, I have got hardware, sir. How do I ensure that it is being accessed fully? I need the instruction set architecture for it to be accessed fully. So understand, ISA is like heart, kidney, liver for your entire computer architecture course. Now, ISA also helps you in many other things. The first thing is the operation. What kind of operations are you going to do will be defined by ISA. What kind of modes of operation are supported? We have seen this in last semester, right? We have seen how many operation modes can be supported in ARM, privileged mode, non-privileged mode. All those come under ISA. Remember, they cannot be done without having proper ISA in picture. Where are we going to store? That's very important. How are we going to use the storage? That's next. And most importantly, to put it in a simpler way, the ISA will tell you how to access the operand, how to perform the operation, how to store the results. That's it. The processor is detailed through the instruction set architecture to do something. The processor will be informed, instructed, ordered through ISA to do something. That's it. This is the simplest definition that you can understand with. ISA is the boss who is going to order the processor to do something. The ISA will be pulled accordingly through the code that you are writing, and that acts as a mediator. The software is what you are writing, the hardware is what you are accessing. Who is doing the mediating work? ISA is going to do the mediating work. That's it. It's a very simple way that one can understand. Through ISA, the instructions access the resource. Remember, through the ISA, the instructions access the hardware resources. That's the easiest way that you can remember and understand. Let's take a very simple example here. A equal to B plus C, which is nothing but add A comma B comma C. What do you mean by that? The B and C are to be added and the result has to be moved to A. So this is an instruction. As you know, this is an instruction and this is what we intend to do, and A has got the result of the operation, where B and C are nothing but the operands which are to be added and they are the registers. Plus is nothing but the operation to be done, which is nothing but the addition. Equal to is assignment operation. So what is done here? This is an instruction which informed the processor to use the registers B and C and to use the operator plus, and after the operation is over, it has to be using the assignment operator to assign the result to A, and all these are conveyed very clearly through the instruction set. Very simple. All the instructions are piled up together in a box called as instruction set architecture. Let's clearly understand and summarize what are all the roles of instruction set architecture. The first role, the first point is what operation is to be performed. The second one, where to take the operands from, where to take the results of the operation into. How many operands are needed to perform this operation? Does the ISA support the operation specified? For an instance, you cannot do certain operations which are not permitted in the architecture itself. For example, in 8085, you do not have a direct multiplication instruction and direct division instruction. You do not have that. And what is the format of the operation that you can go ahead with? Is it a 3 operand format or is it a 2 operand format? And what are all the size of operands? Is it 8-bit or 16-bit or 32-bit? Can we have 16-bit operations done also in the 8-bit processor? All these are specified clearly through the ISA. And finally, one very important point that we need to understand is what are all the addressing modes that are supported. And here in this subject, in computer organization and architecture, we'll have very important addressing modes that we are going to discuss, and it's all very, very interesting. I promise you it's going to be very interesting and it will be fun for you, right? That's what we are going to see in tomorrow's session. For now, I am going to stop here, but we will have to talk about something more in this session, and then we will leave you for the session.